Welcome, everybody. This is the coaches meeting for the FLL Qualifier at Sutton District High. My name is Paul Keenan. I am a first senior mentor with First Canada, and I've been part of the group that's been arranging this, and pretty much, well, I know all the teachers that are involved, so that's my claim to fame. But although at my age, I might forget stuff as we go along, so be prepared for that. With us today and running the meeting will be Jennifer Spearin, the teacher in charge of the event from Sutton District High and a key mentor with the Sutton District High FRC team 6514, the Sutton Robotics League. And with us also is our judge advisor, Peter Martin, who is an engineer with Quanzer Inc. in Markham and has been a mentor with Team 4001 and a judge, has been the judge advisor for several years at the St. Robert FLL Qualifier event and has judged many times at the FRC level, the high school level, throughout the province. So we are recording this and we're going to post it and then share it so that you can listen to it again. So if somebody's not on it, they can hear it as well. If you do have any questions as we go along, we'd love to hear them. You can put them in the question box and then we'll get to them. And just for a quality recording, we've muted everybody and we'll unmute people as we need to as we go along. But please ask any questions you have. I guess the one thing I would say before we start is that the reason why there's an event in Sutton is the conversations I've had over the past couple of years with teachers and other people, like from the Jericho group, about why perhaps it was difficult for people to get to the events that were in Aurora and Markham and Thornhill, and decided that if we can do it, well, let's do it. So this will be the first of many, we hope, events in Georgina for FLL, and hopefully that'll lead to all the schools in Georgina and Keswick and Sutton and Pefferlaw joining us at these events. So without much further ado, Jennifer is going to take over and take us through what's going to happen and what you need to know as a coach on the 5th of December. Jennifer?
Thanks, Paul. So I'm Jennifer Spearin. I'm one of the mentors, as Paul was mentioning, of Team 6514, the Sutton Robotics League. This is our first crack at the can of trying to run an FLL tournament. And I know how difficult it can be in our community to get kids involved on a weekend because there's so many different things happening. So we thought we'd try it on a school day, and it's awesome the response we've had about that. It just means that the logistics of the day are going to look a little bit different in some respects. So again, welcome. Why are we here and what are we doing? So we are going to talk about the venue. We're going to look at the schedule, some pieces about judging, how many teams are advancing, what that looks like, how the competition rounds are going to work, all important thing, how are you going to be fed, what's for lunch, some safety pieces, some information about the pit, some housekeeping, and as Paul was mentioning, please ask questions as we go along. So we have, as Paul was mentioning, myself, Paul, and Peter, and obviously all of you lovely coaches that have joined in to listen to us. So thank you for that. And please remember in all of this that we're all volunteers. And we love it when everyone practices gracious professionalism. So Paul, you want to do this one?
Yeah, so the plan is, and our hope, especially with the gracious professionalism part, is that we all work hard, we all compete, but we all support each other as we go along. So that's important. And again, the opportunities. My wife taught in Keswick for many years at the old St. Thomas Aquinas before it was rebuilt, and we've had many people we know teach up there. in Georgina, and we just felt like, in talking to people, that maybe the opportunities for them were not as great as the opportunities for people in the southern parts of York Region, and certainly in the GTA. So we want to do what we can, and that's one of First's goals, is to make sure that we make this whole idea of STEM as equitable as possible. So we're here for the students. We're not here for the parents, but we're also here to make sure that the teachers have as good a time as we can make it for them, so that they'll want to continue and expand the program. So that's one of the big focuses that we have. And in order to do that, we've brought in a lot of really good volunteers that are going to help us. And as Jennifer has mentioned to me, and maybe to some of you, that we're trying to have people act as backups, so that the people of Georgina and Sutton and Keswick can take over the event and play all the key roles in the coming years. And certainly we want the students, both the high school students, to enjoy their time as volunteers at the event, and the students in the elementary schools to get excited about STEM and want to do those kinds of things, those kinds of jobs, and have a great time, have fun. Fun is key.
Thanks, Paul. So I am going to run you through some of the pieces to do with the venue. One of the big key things is, please keep kids out of, sorry, I want to go back one slide. Keep kids out of other classroom areas. With this happening during a school day, there is going to be some time where the students are in the halls with the high school students. We're hoping that it's going to be as minimal as possible, but it will happen. I have some maps I'm going to share with you here in a second, and I'm also going to include a map in your welcome package. We have been very fortunate in that we were able to secure 3 classrooms side by each for the judging rooms to keep everything nice and close together. And if at all possible, students are to stay out of the tech wing and out of the second floor. Okay, so there should be no students climbing stairs. The main entrance of the school is a beautiful place to come, but not on the robotics tournament, because there's very limited parking. So if you have students being dropped off by parents, we would actually ask that they come around the back side of the building and use the parking loop there. So we are going to be housed mostly in the gym, which is the area that's been circled in blue. As you can see, the parking lot is in the back. There are 2 main entrances. One is by the greenhouse doors and one is by the gymnasium. When students come in, there will be signage in the hallway to help people find their way. All the judging rooms, as you can see, are down here by the cafeteria. They're circled in green. So there is a nice straightforward hallway to get to and from, which has a few stairs in it, but should be pretty safe for the kids to navigate with robots and parts. Lunch. So we are actually going to start lunch a little earlier than the rest of the school. We are going to do a staggered start with an 11:30 start for those students who have finished their judging and their practice rounds, so that we can have people done and ready for 12:30 back in the gym, with the competition round starting at 12:45. We've secured an area at the back of the cafeteria with some extra tables and chairs for the students to eat. The students will line up in the hallway, go through the servery, grab the condiments that they need for their hot dogs, and go and have a seat in the back. We have washrooms right close to the gym, and in between the washrooms is a water filling station. So please encourage everyone to bring a reusable water bottle. So that's the venue. So the schedule of the day, as was mentioned, it's a bit of a staggered start and it's a condensed day. Some of the teams are able to arrive as early as 10 after 8, while others aren't arriving until closer to 9:30. So for the teams that are able to arrive prior to 8:30 or around the 8:30 mark, they're going to go in the first round of judging before the opening ceremonies. Opening ceremonies is scheduled for 9:45, at which point all of the teams should be present. We're going to ask that everyone sits in the stands as a team, because we're going to do a stand and wave and cheer as each team is introduced. Again, more information about this is in your welcome package. At the awards ceremony at the end, we're going to have a high five lane set up. We would ask that you enter from the spectators' right-hand side and exit on the spectators' left, but we'll run you through that again as we prepare to hand out the awards.
So
Peter.
just to interject,
Yeah,
so
go for it.
we will have a big First Canada banner after the high five line. So when your team wins an award, you can have people set up to take pictures over there. We'll have somebody there to take pictures as well. But I know lots of parents and coaches want to take their own pictures, but it'll be after the high five line. So that'll be an opportunity. So
thank you, Peter. Paul, sorry, that reminds me. The media is coming, and so when you arrive, I need to know if you have students on your team that are a no-go for photos. There will be stickers to apply to them so that we don't inadvertently take their photos. Okay, so that brings us to judging. And this is where I'm hoping Peter can help me out.
Yeah, of course. Sure. My pleasure. So yeah, if you could arrive at least 5 minutes before your first judging session, 5 minutes before your first judging session, absolutely. That'll help with making sure that you're in the right spot to begin your first session. There'll be the 3 sessions that apply to the 3 judging categories: core values, project, and robot design. All of your team members need to attend all of the sessions. And also, in terms of the spectator policy, as the teams are in the judging room, we'd really appreciate it if you have no more than 6 mentors and coaches and parents in the room with the students. If it
I've
gets
actually
more,
put it. Sorry, Peter. I put it in the team pieces that there are no spectators beyond the students and the one coach, simply because of timing.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that makes it a lot easier as well. Yeah, and also obviously for that one coach or mentor, obviously we'd love to observe and witness all the goings on and the great fun that the students are going to have doing core values challenges and presenting their projects and talking about how excited they are about their robot. But try to sort of keep your interaction with the students as they're doing their presentations and running through their robot to an absolute minimum. We'd like to really hear from the students and have them not necessarily be distracted by any outside influence. So it's really the students and the judges who are going to be doing the interaction in the judging session. And then once they've gone through the core values presentation and the project and robot design sessions, beyond that, really that should be the end of the judging procedure until the final ceremonies. We're not going to do callbacks if you've ever been to another session, so you won't have to worry about coming back and having to represent to a different group. In terms of what you should bring to each session, obviously for project, any of the paraphernalia around the project the students have done is very beneficial. If you have handouts or anything to give the judges so they remember the details of the project, if you have props or something you've built to show them, that's always great, along with any cheers or songs or everything else is easy to bring along to those. Obviously for robot design, bringing the robot is essential. And then for core values, if you have a core value presentation, that's also appreciated. But the core values will also be centered around the activity that we'll prepare as well. And finally, please be quiet in the hallways. It is, as Jennifer said, an active day of an active high school. So we'd appreciate it if you're as quiet as possible when you're moving through the halls, both for the students attending class and also for the other teams that are attending their judges sessions. So judges takes place throughout the whole event. It's not just in the rooms. In the rooms is where we really try to bear down and find out how the teams have done and what they want to show us. But especially for things like core values extend to the whole tournament. And so we're really interested in making sure that everyone is, as Jennifer said, following their gracious professionalism and acting courteous and really thinking about how they behave as a team throughout the whole event, not just in the room. The teamwork activity is confidential, so please don't talk about the core values event to other teams or talk about how exciting it was or what the problems were outside of the room. And finally, at the end, don't forget your rubrics. We'll have filled out very carefully rubrics for you to take home and to learn from and grow and as a team for next year. So make sure you don't forget those. We put a lot of time into making sure that they're really constructive and give you some feedback that'll help you in the future. And the awards list, in terms of the awards, no team will win more than one award. So don't worry about that aspect of it. And then also, I believe Jennifer will talk about the advancement policy for the tournament. So that'll extend to who moves on for the final provincials once we've gone through the whole process at the very end and all the awards have been handed out.
Yeah, absolutely. The other piece with the rubrics, I know that at the end of the day, there will be a few teams that are in a bit more of a rush to leave than others. Please don't panic if you don't get a chance to pick up your rubrics. I will arrange for them to be sent to you either through the courier or they'll be dropped off to your school. In terms of advancement, Paul, if you could help me on this one. I know that we have one team that will advance from our qualifying to the Eastern Ontario.
Yep.
But if you could help me through the rest of this, because
Sure.
I'm still learning.
Sure. So a lot of that has to do with Peter and what he does, but how it works is that the head of FLL in Ontario, Dave Ellis, who is also going to be there as the head referee, he has based on the number of teams at your event, has a formula that First in the States gives him in terms of how many teams advance. So it's been decided, and he's let us know, and we're letting you know that it's one team from this event. It's the champion. So when Peter and his judges are going through and looking at the judging, and then they'll decide on who they think is the most well-rounded of the teams from the judging areas, and then how they do in the robot game is also going to have an impact. So there's a certain level they have to have in the robot game to be the champion, and that's the one that will advance to the provincials at the University of Ontario and Durham College in Oshawa in January. So the robot hurdle. Peter, do you remember what it is?
It's 40%. So I believe there are 7 teams. So in that case, I think it'd be the top 3.
So you cannot be the champion unless you're within the top 3 in the robot game, and you'll get 3 chances to do the robot game, and your highest score counts. So if you have a really bad day and you're excellent in all those judged areas, but you're 7th out of 7, then you will not be the champion team advancing. Now, what happens if you advance? If you advance, then you really want to pay attention to those rubrics, and you really want to work to improve. Maybe if you haven't done all the missions, and trust me, I don't believe that I've seen anybody in Ontario that's doing all the missions. And since all the teams that are coming are essentially rookie teams to our event, it would be a miracle, really, for anybody to do all the missions. And I've talked to most of the coaches and know that that's not going to happen. So once you're determined to be the champion, that would give you the opportunity between the time that Jennifer's event finishes and you go to the provincials that you can work on your robot, maybe do more missions, and also take some pointers from the rubrics that the judges and Peter give you back to improve your presentation for your project, work on your core values, and maybe touch up what you're doing in your robot design judging area as well. So that's what happens. You'll get more information about that once it's over. There's no real need to worry about that too much right now. But
I just want to emphasize one more time before we move on what Paul said about the winning team that advances being a generalist, really. Like that is the core of the Champions Award. The Champions Award is the team that achieves the best overall performance for all the categories, for their robot performance, for their core values, and for their project together. So if you're the best performing robot, that doesn't mean you're going to advance. It has to be an overall level of competency and of performance and achievement for the entire tournament. So don't worry if your robot isn't the best. You could still be the Champions Award if you're really good at all of the categories together.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about how the rounds are going to work. And we have each team accessing, I believe, 2 practice rounds. However, with only having 7 teams at the competition, there is going to be lots of time if your team wants to stay at the table after their practice round. They simply need to ask the referee if they can help reset the table and play again. Obviously, if another team has a practice round scheduled, they will have to step back from the table. We are also hoping to have a practice table set up through the pit so that there is more than adequate access to tables and missions for students to practice their skills. Paul, you said the last update was the 13th of November?
Yeah, so I checked again last night. I didn't see anything. We'll check. So the latest there could be an update that would affect our tournament is there could be an update on the Friday before our tournament takes place. But just one of the things that we keep telling both the high school students and the elementary school students is they should all read the rules. The coaches should read the rules too. And one of the key rules is that there are going to be potentially updates. The other key one is that if it doesn't say you can't do it in the rule, then you can. But one of the things that you should do is if your team is going to be doing something that they think is unusual based on the rules, they should let the referees know in advance. It's not really a secret. Trust me, there's going to be no team that's going to be able to copy your code on the day of the event. So if that's what you're concerned about, let the referee know. The referee's there to help you, as are the judges, to make it a good experience. So you want to make sure that you're keeping abreast of that. If you're not sure of where those robot game updates are, let me know and I'll send you some information. I may send it out tomorrow anyways with the video, so for everybody. But please ask if you're not sure.
So our referees for this event are actually working in pairs. I have 4 senior female students who are very keen on watching your students perform on the tables, and they feel more comfortable working with each other. So it's actually beneficial to all the students because there's more people to help watch and to make sure that things are going the way that they should. We don't have the high-tech capabilities of video replay. We are hoping to be able to live stream it onto a screen for people on the stands to be able to see, but we're still trying to figure out how that's going to work. And then at the end of a match, you need to make sure that nothing is touched until the referees and the team have signed off on the score sheet that they all agree with what the table looks like. So nothing changes on the table until everybody signs off. Is that correct, Paul?
Yeah, and the reason for that is if there's a dispute where the kids just say, I think we got this, and the referee says, well, I'm not sure that's how the rules read. That's why there's a head referee, and we're fortunate to have the person that runs First Lego League in Ontario and was 2 years ago the Volunteer of the Year in the world. So we're really lucky to have him with us. And the way it works is they'll talk, and then the first thing they'll look at is the updates, and then the rules that came out first, and so on and so on and so on, going down the line to make sure that's the case. But as as Jennifer's written down here, it has to be the students. It can't be a coach coming over and saying, no, you got this wrong. It definitely cannot be the parents. Okay, it has to be the students. The whole idea is that the students are going to be learning and working at this and talking for themselves, and they should have read the rules. They should be reading the rules, and that's what it is. And the referees are not there to be the enemy or another competitor. They're there to help the students, so they want them to score as well as they can do as well. So keep that in mind. I can't anticipate. I don't think we'll have any issues with this, but it doesn't. It does happen occasionally, but not very often.
Okay. So, as mentioned, you're eating in the cafeteria. How do you get lunch? In your welcome package are going to be some lunch tickets. That's simply to help us make sure that we're getting an accurate head count and that the child going through the line and or the adult belong there. Safety. So, please no running. Please no running. There's lots of places to trip. We have first aid services available at the pit. We have an AED, or the defibrillator. It is just outside the gymnasium in a very well marked spot. And if all else fails, there are phones in boxes inside the gymnasium that can dial 911 directly. Your pit area is going to be available to you starting at 8 in the morning after you register. And I am asking that by 2:30 in the afternoon, you have picked up all of your belongings and have departed the pits. Hopefully back to your school, celebrating your successes. Don't worry about actually taking anything apart. We will take care of the tables, chairs, and power. You're just responsible for whatever it is that you bring. There will be garbage cans in the area, so please make sure that all of your refuse and debris ends up there. Recycling should be in the hall just outside of the gym. And if you have questions, pit admin is where you go. They will help direct you to find the right person if you have questions. They'll help you understand where you need to go to queue for a game, help you with a Band-Aid, help you find a paperclip. They're that type of persons. And there's also a student assigned there to help with any of the environmental type stuff of I'm lost or all those good things. So that's the pit area. And then housekeeping, basically lost and found, I'm going to assign to the pit. Again, have questions, stop a volunteer, stop one of the kids wearing a Sutton Robotics League shirt, talk to pit admin. And as you go through your day, take a moment to thank the people who have volunteered their time. A lot of people have actually taken the day off work to help us. Whether or not their employers know, I'm not sure. But again, the day doesn't happen without all of the people that are there helping, including the students. So that brings us to the questions portion. And I'm wondering if anyone has any questions for us.
Again, if you have a question, you can type it into the question box down at the bottom of the screen. So clear, there is no questions so far. It's going to be a great day. It would be, these students over the next few years will see each other lots of times, so it would be a really nice touch as we encourage at all tournaments for the students to shake. There will be two teams competing at the same time, so the tables are back to back or side by side, I guess. And it would be great if they could shake hands or high five each other after each game. Just so that they get in the habit of that. That's one of our things that we talk about in terms of cooperation. We compete hard, but we also cooperate and help each other as we go along. So hopefully that's the spirit that we'll have. We certainly see that at our high school competitions, as Jennifer would know from her team, and Peter, all the times that he's judged and all the times he's been there with the team that he mentored from St. Robert over the years. So hopefully that'll continue when we start the first event up here in Sutton. Well, I don't see any questions. I don't hear any questions, but you are obviously welcome. You have Jennifer's email, and you should have mine, pkeenan@firstinspires.org, and you can email us at any point. I'm sure we'll get some emails coming to us over the next few days. I did get an email from a team yesterday. They were practicing, I guess, at their place. They're down in Aurora, not coming to this event. And they had a question about if about touching the robot while it was running. And so I explained the rule to them about that they couldn't do that and they wouldn't score any points while that mission was going on. So if you do have some questions like that, please don't hesitate to ask. Everybody should have the rubrics that the judges are using and that you'll get a copy of when the event is over. But if you can't find them, you don't know where they are, please let me know and I'll be happy to send them out to you so you can prepare your students even better than you might already have done. Peter, anything to add before we go?
No, not on my side. I'm looking really looking forward to the event and to meeting the teams and seeing all the hard work that they've done. And I'm sure I speak for the judges in that respect. It's almost as exciting. I'd say it's almost as exciting for us as it is for the kids, but the kids that I've seen over the years are really extremely excited. So I don't know if we're going to be quite that level, but it is a great event, and that's what keeps all the volunteers coming back year after year. It's the most fun that we have, somewhat peripherally related to work, at least for what I do. So I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, Peter. Okay, Jennifer, that's it for me.
That's all I have, other than bring your indoor shoes.
Yeah, and I will send the recording out tomorrow or tonight, and rubrics and where the location of the rules updates. Oh, I think we have a question. Can students attempt a mission more than once? Okay, so Michelle, that's a really good question. So here's how it works. Let's say that they're going to go out and do a mission. Let's say it's the one where they've got to cross the crater, because that seems to be a common one, and it doesn't work. So they don't get all the way across, or they bump into one of the stanchions that they've got to go between. So yes, they can pick up their robot, and for that they would get a penalty of -3 points, but crossing that crater gives them more points than that. The one thing so they could redo that one again and again and again, going back to base and realigning it and so forth. The part where it's a little bit difficult is if they've gone somewhere and they've affected a mission, and then they go to try to redo that mission, the mission is not going to be reset. So the referee doesn't reset the mission during the match. So they're not going to be able to touch that. So if they're trying to pick up the ball and throw it into the goal, the one that they have at the far end of the table, and the ball's gone off that little ring that's there, no one can put that back on. So that was sort of the question that I was mentioning that someone had asked me. So hopefully that answers your question. But yes, they can attempt a mission as many times as they want, for sure. Okay. So Michelle asks, is picking up a robot always a deduction of 3 points? So it's called interrupting. That's the term that they use in the rules. And you can only get that deduction of 3 points 6 times. So you can lose a maximum of 18 points during the course of your 2.5-minute competition. But it is always 3 points. There's no mission that I've seen that's 3 points. They're all like 22 points or 16 points or 8 points. So parts of missions are 8 points, for example. So yes, it is possible. And you cannot get, you will not get a negative score. So a negative score will not show up. The software is programmed so that it will not allow there to be a negative score. So even if you didn't get, if you got 18 points in penalties, and you didn't get 18 points, you'd end up with 0, but you wouldn't get a negative score. Okay. Yeah. So Michelle's following up on that question when I was mentioning the term they use is interrupt. So when you pick up your robot, yeah, you bring it back to the base. So it's always got to start in the base. So one of the reasons for reading the rules, when we were talking to the referees yesterday, I think it was yesterday when I was up in Sutton to visit Jennifer.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
Okay, thank you for that. Is talking to the referees and saying about what a team that's read the rules might realize is they might have had their robot go out and do a mission, complete it, They're going to get 22 points for that mission, but they don't get it till the end of the game. So it's got to be in that condition at the end of the game. Now they send it out to do a different mission, and they realize as it's going that it's going to hit the mission that they completed, and it's going to ruin it for them, and they're going to lose those 22 points. So they realize, because they know if they interrupt it, they're only going to lose 3 points. So they pick it up quickly, they take it back to the base, they reset it so that it goes out and does it properly so it doesn't affect the mission that they did. If they didn't read the rules, they might think, oh, I can't touch it, can I touch it? And they're yelling back and forth at each other, yeah, you can touch it, no, you can't touch it. So that's one of the reasons why they need to read the rules, is because there's advantages to knowing what interrupting the robot can cost you and so forth. Okay, hopefully that long explanation is clear to you. Any more questions? And again, the purpose of the referees and the purpose of the practice matches is to help teams do the best they can, to have it to be a great experience for everybody, to have fun. So that's our goal. I know from talking to the coaches, they've worked hard, and the kids have worked very hard. So as Peter said, we're all looking forward to this event for sure. And Michelle, everybody is new, so they're all kind of in the same boat. So it should be a very close competition, I think. And if there are no other questions, and I don't think there are, again, if you do have questions, please email me. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. I think we're done.
Awesome. Can't wait to see everybody on the 5th of December.
Yeah. So thanks everybody for joining us. And again, as always, keep the questions coming if you have them. Look forward to seeing you, Peter and Jennifer, and all the kids.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, everybody.
All right. And good night, everybody.